Hey everybody, Mark, Dr. Deadwax, back for day 19 of the Inbox Challenge. And today's numbers were picked by the Zeke Geek, Zach. So thanks for picking some numbers and playing along, Zach. Interesting batch today. First up is Timepiece, the Rascals' greatest hits. Previously known as the Young Rascals. Not really a fan of this band. I pulled this out of the box and I could not for the life of me figure out why the hell this was in the box. But obviously this was a record I got for free. And then I saw this and I realized this is why I kept this, because it was a Canadian Red Atlantic. And it's in pretty good condition. It's got a little bit of maybe VG surface wise. Plays pretty good. Has I think it has one stick on it. I don't know what to say about this. I'm not a huge fan of the Rascals. I'm not a huge fan of this kind of 60s pop. A couple songs off here that I recognize from like The Big Chill and the soundtracks to those, and I listened to it all the way through. It was a pretty good record. Just doesn't do anything for me. So that's that one. Next is just an incredibly weird one. This is the Fabulous Zaras. The Fabulous Zaras featuring Julie Grant and Toto. And there is the incredibly charming Toto. I wonder if he is really who Toto named Toto after and not the dog in the Wizard of Oz. And there's Julie Grant. So the Zara family. The Zara, and the record's signed by, looks like it's like All the Best to So-and-so. And then here it's signed by Julie Grant. And down here you can see Toto and Kitty and Sadros. I don't know. The Zara family, they were a family from Spain of musicians. And that much I know. It's kind of hard to find out much about these guys. They were in, they put out some records in Germany. Apparently they played for soldiers on German air bases a lot. And if you look up them on the internet, apparently almost every record on the internet is signed by them. So I guess, you know, if you buy our record, we'll sign it for you. I guess when they played the bases and stuff like that, they would. So they had some other recordings out before this. This is from 1973. This is on the Parnasso Records label. Oops, did that just focus? Yeah. Peak of Popularity, Parnasso, High Fidelity. So the record says it's 1972. The cover says it's 1973, so it's there. Now I found that Parnasso Records. Hey, get out of her food! Get out of her food! No, move. That is not your food. I know. Your life sucks. Parnasso released a lot of records in Argentina and Brazil, I think. So I don't know the whole story. Sorry about the little domestic there in the middle of this. I don't know everything that's going on. Now, Julie Grant was a British singer who joined up with this family, and yet here the Parnasso Records is based out of New York City. So, who knows? The music is, some of it's in Spanish, some of it's in English. It's kind of like schlocky show band stuff. Not show tunes, but I don't know. It's terrible. Our man Toto here later went on and released a very uncommon and desirable disco record called Zaras. So, weird. Gonna keep that just because it's so weird. I can put that on maybe if I'm having a party and I want people to go home. Next is a Taste of Honey. This is consisted of these four people who were basically known. The two women eventually were just a Taste of Honey, and the two gentlemen had left at some point. This is their first record, and the big hit on here was Boogie Oogie Oogie. It was a massive disco hit. This is on the Capitol label, Purple Capitol. Nothing interesting in the Dead Wax. Not a big fan of this kind of music, but you know, when I have clean examples of things, I like to keep them and throw them in the inbox. And see, I never play them, and they just kind of build up. But this is making me play them just to, you know, expose myself to things I closed my mind to in the past, and my mind is still closed. That record is, yeah, sounds good. Next is Mike Rutherford. This is his second solo album, Acting Very Strange. There's the back cover. Possibly the worst solo record released by any member of an A-tier progressive rock band. Definitely. Of the ones I've heard. And I've heard a lot. Now, Stuart Copeland drums on this. Great drumming. The big criticism about this record, when you read the critical reviews, is that Mike Rutherford sings on this record. Because Mike thought, you know, you release these solo records, and you bring in other people to sing on them, and it's just kind of weird. However, after this dog, he created Mike and the Mechanics and had other people come sing on. Many other people come sing on those records. The problem with this record is not the singing. I have listened to some of the absolute worst singers in the world, and he's better than them as a singer. Now, some of the worst singers in the world are just better than this. This has the most horrific songwriting. There's a song on here where they just repeat a line over and over again, and I just thought I might like lose it. And then I turned the record over, and then there's another song on here called Couldn't Get Arrested, where they repeat couldn't get arrested over and over again, more than they repeated the line in the other song. It's well over 100 times he says couldn't get arrested in his not so great singing voice. And I was going to play the record again and count them, because I was kind of getting a little fixated on this. And then I realized if I did that, it might be the end of the Inbox Challenge. So I didn't do that. Hideaway, the last song in the album, is okay too. It's not that the production on this record is bad, or if the music was on this record without the vocals, then we wouldn't know about the lyrical writing. But then it might be a little repetitive. But you can see how this came between Abacab and Genesis self-titled, and you can see how that Genesis self-titled has some monstrously brilliant songs on it. Home by the Sea, Second Home by the Sea, for example. Oh, just later day Genesis doesn't get any better than that, except for maybe Driving the Last Spike. But wow, some of the songs on there, like Legal Alien, are just like some of the worst music Genesis ever did. And you can see here how like that they got this just sing the line over and over again, like they did in I Can't Dance and they did in some other songs. So this record is terrible. This is Canadian pressing on Atlantic, and interestingly enough, it's got some really cool dead wax. The best thing about this record is the dead wax, and I can't get it to show. No, it's not going to pop. In the dead wax on side 1 is He Who Dares Wins and Townhouse. So that means this record, the plates were made at Townhouse Studios in London, which is unusual for a record from the 80s that was made in Canada, so it says, to be made from a plate that was made in England. Now, on side 2 it says, in quotes, Brillo Nick at the, end quotes, and then that's written by hand, and then in the machined font it says Townhouse, so Brillo Nick at the Townhouse. So that's obviously the mastering engineer. Can't find out who Brillo Nick is. It doesn't pop when you search it. So I'm wondering if maybe the plates, and the plates are A and B, like there are no numbers after them, so technically they're first plates. So I'm wondering if the actual vinyl was pressed in the UK, and maybe the record's, you know, pressed with the labels like, I don't know. This is horrible. Horrible. And maybe this just says it all. Finally is a brilliant album, Santana's first record. This is a Canadian Canadian first pressing on Columbia. This is a 2i Columbia. So we've talked about how the Byrds record had Columbia, and it didn't have stereo or mono down here or 360 sound, and you had to tell if it was a mono record by the production code, which here you can see is CS9781. Now, and how the US record had 360 sound and mono on it. Then we talked about how 2 years later, I'm going to blank on the record I showed, but how it had the 360 sound, but the US record had the word stereo in white font, and the Canadian record had the word stereo in black font, which helps you determine when that is from. And then I think this is 71. But you can see now Canada's labels are again caught up to like what the US label was a couple of years before. So they're always kind of and during this period, they're always kind of a couple of years behind, and there are differences between the US and the Canadian. This has it has hand-cut plates on side, hand-written stampers on side 1, 1C, and machine-made stampers 1F on side 2. So, I mean, if we follow the logic of the machine stampers coming from New York City and the handwritten stampers coming from California, for some reason Canada was sent 2 different plates. Now, the other side of the other possibility by this point was, I've heard in the past that, you know, union and tariff and excise stuff going on, that one plate could come from the US, so maybe the side 2 plate that's machine stamped came from the US and the side 1 plate was made in Canada, but I don't think so. Interestingly enough, I have an even nicer copy of this that's still in shrink and is like super nice and minty, except for one long scratch that you can't hear. And it has the identical plates on side A and B, so these two are concurrent with each other. So, those are today's records. A couple real dogs and a couple and this, which is really good. And so like Total Dog, bye. Not my bag, bye. Just too weird not to keep. And Red Atlantic. So anyway, that's today's records. Tomorrow be a whole new batch. Have a great day, everybody. Keep the record spinning.